Now, back to Coastal Living on KZTV.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, Jocelyn had the pleasure to sit down with local attorney Bob Hilliard to learn more about his achievements and what he's doing to help the community. Check it out.
So, Mr. Hilliard, tell me a little bit about yourself and about your firm.
Well, I came to Corpus Christi in 1983, straight from law school. Didn't know a soul in town and went to work for a lawyer here for 2 years. And then in 1985, I decided to hang my own shingle. I decided to start my own law firm.
You seem to be very passionate about protecting the helpless. What inspires you to do that?
So I had a special needs brother growing up. It was just he and I and my sister, and so we were in a very moderate income family, and so we shared a bedroom my whole life, and he was my older brother, but he was special needs, and so he was bullied a lot. And I was kind of the young, cocky younger brother, so I was always standing up for him.
What does Corpus Christi and the community mean to you, and how do you incorporate that into your practice?
I love this town. I've watched a lot of lawyers who have achieved success move on, decide to go to San Antonio or Dallas. I'll never leave. When I came here, like I said, I didn't know a soul, and now I have 7 kids. Catherine and I have 7 children. My wife's on the port. She's a port commissioner. We are committed not just to the legal community, but to the entirety of Corpus Christi. We commit a lot of our time, energy, and finances into education, into giving back. It's just, I grew up in East Texas, but I consider myself a Coastal Bend native. I'll never be anywhere else.
So you've had a very long, successful career. What are some achievements that you would like to highlight?
Well, career highlights, the ones that stand out the most are, of course, the man in Minnesota, a man named Kuafong Lee. About 10 years ago, I heard about this guy that had been put in jail when his Toyota suddenly accelerated. He was leaving church with his pregnant wife, his dad, and his son, who was in a car seat, and his car suddenly accelerated and he hit a car at a stop sign, and the people in the other car were killed. And he was charged criminally, even though there was no drugs, no alcohol. They couldn't understand why his car suddenly accelerated. And he always said that it did, but he was of Vietnamese descent, so he didn't speak the language very well. He was intimidated by the system. The car that he hit had some African American individuals in it, and the community was very upset about this accident. And he was sentenced to 8 years in prison for what was really an accident that ultimately turned out not to be his fault. So I went up there and found his criminal lawyer, and we got the judge to agree to a hearing after he'd been in jail for 3 years already. And so we put on testimony and proved that it was the Toyota that suddenly accelerated.
So from my understanding, you've worked on a case in front of the U.S. Supreme Court twice. And tell me the significance about that case.
There was a 15-year-old boy named Sergio Hernandez who was playing with his friends in Mexico. And a Border Patrol agent, when you look at the video, takes out his gun and fires, and he kills Sergio Hernandez. And Sergio falls and dies in Mexico. The Border Patrol agent fires the gun from the United States, and there's maybe 30 feet between them. So there's no fence, there's no line, there's simply a flat cement culvert, and the bullet leaves the United States and kills in Mexico. So we file a civil lawsuit in the United States, and the Border Patrol and the U.S. government take the position that the Fourth Amendment against unreasonable force that constrains, and Sixth Amendment, that constrains police officers from using unreasonable force does not apply to this police officer because his bullet went across an international border and killed someone in Mexico. So we lost at the trial court in El Paso, and we appealed to the Fifth Circuit in New Orleans, and we lost, and we appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, and we won.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Hilliard.
My pleasure.
All right, thank you, Jocelyn, for that insight. It goes to show how important our justice system is.